have one door in front, one door in back, which will be monitored by closed-circuit TV, and a good alarm system for the nighttime to eliminate any chance of dogs being stolen, which has happened in the past. Not really that often, but it has happened in the past. There have been times when we've come here in the morning. There are two chains that we had on the back gate were snapped off. Back gate was open. The back door was busted open, and a bunch of dogs were let out.
What would motivate anyone to do this?
Well, that's really hard to say. There could be many things. It could be an irate dog owner who was simply so upset that his dog was picked up that he wouldn't consider the value of anyone else's dog in letting out the dogs, but simply in getting us in trouble or getting back at the dog catcher for picking up his dog. You know, it happens, and it's so easy to say that it's just an excuse for negligence when it actually happens, and we're the ones that suffer from it. But moreover, the people that have the dogs that come out to pick them up, and if we tell them that the dogs were let out last night, someone broke in and let out a bunch of dogs, and unfortunately theirs was run over on Highway 12, that's not going to console them any.
While the construction of new kennel facilities obviously will make it easier to provide better care for the animals, the fact that the new pound will be run by essentially the same people who currently run the complaint-ridden Tonka kennels does little to impress the dog owners who have had trouble in the past. One family who says they've had a long history of trouble with Tonka kennels talked about a number of specific grievances that apparently have been experienced by a good many others.
We have a golden retriever, and he's been picked up a number of times. Partially our responsibility, of course, that he has been out loose. Other times because he just gets away. But there is no call for a dog to come back from a kennel experience and be so dried out that he drinks water until he throws up. And I have been out to pick him out on occasions when the temperature was in the 90s, about 11 o'clock in the morning, and there was no water in any of the dishes at the kennel, in the outside runs, which is where they keep the big dogs. I didn't go into the inside at that time, so I'm only speaking about these outside runs where they're right in the sun. And when I went back in, I said, why are the dogs out there without any water? And one of the men in the place turned to a young man and said, I told you to keep water in the runs. And the young man said, I put water out there yesterday. Neat, huh?
Well, as I said before, the dogs that are impounded here at the kennels are placed in cages when they're brought in. At 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, when the kennel is being cleaned, all the dogs are taken out of the cages and they're placed in outside run areas. While the dogs are outside, there's at least one or two water pans which are kept constantly full during the day for the time that the dog is outside, which could be as long as from 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning until 5:30 or 6 at night. So they have water constantly when they're outside.
I have suspicions that they're not fed because Sam is a sort of a picky eater. We can fill up his bowl and he'll go through a bowl of food in about maybe a day and a half. He picks at it. But when he comes home from there, he's just ravenous. He hasn't, I'm sure I've never seen food in the runs, ever.
Dogs are fed the last thing of the day. Generally, again, because of the facility, we rely on, with the exception of a few indoor-outdoor connected run areas, we rely mainly on cages. And when you've got a dog in a small cage that stays in the cage overnight and then is let out during the day, a tray of food, unless eaten, isn't going to last too long in an upright position in the cage with the dog. Likewise with a tray of water. Generally, a dog that's picked up and impounded and taken someplace strange will not eat anything on the first day. He'll eat maybe a little on the second day and maybe start eating normally on the third day or the fourth day that he's here. Dogs generally don't eat in a strange place when if it's a different situation, and dogs are scared, or if they're excited from being in a strange place, that dogs generally never eat on the first or the second day.
I have been told Sam is there and go out, and Sam suddenly isn't there. One time, as I was leaving, a construction worker, this is when they were remodeling the place, came up to me and said, I heard you asking for a golden retriever. Did they tell you they didn't have one? And I said, yes, they did. And he said, your dog is right back here, and he was there. So the construction worker took me to Sam. And another time, they said Sam wasn't there, and we went out and found him there. A friend of mine asked for her poodle, and they said they didn't have a poodle, and she heard some barking in the office and opened the office door, and there were about 10 poodles in the office. They are pretty slick.
Did you confront the people operating the kennel at that point? What was their explanation?
They didn't know the dog was there. They always have a very non-specific explanation of whatever they do. It's fantastic. We attended a party one night, and a woman was very upset and still hadn't gotten over the loss of her pet. And I think he was about 11 years old. He had a red collar. His name was on the collar, and it was licensed. And they called her and said that the dog was there, and she went out to get him. And when they came out, it was her dog's collar, but it wasn't her dog. Now, there is a catchy one. I don't know what happened to her dog. It is just inexcusable that when they have your dog, which is a golden retriever, and you say, have you got a golden retriever, that nobody knows they've got a golden retriever. Now, anybody running a dog hostelry knows a golden retriever, or they shouldn't be there. You can say, have you got Spot? My old dog Spot. Well, what does Spot look like? Well, he's got spots and a short tail. His one eye is blue. Well, this is sort of vague, but it's somewhat specific. But a golden retriever is a golden retriever, and they say, no, we haven't got any golden retrievers, and they may have two. That's inexcusable.
Well, I have never personally told someone that we didn't have a specific kind of dog, because with the number of crossbreed dogs there's always a chance that somewhere in the cross will have their dog. What the people are told, it's the policy of the kennel, that when someone calls looking for a dog, they're asked what area it was lost in and approximately when they lost it. So we have something to go by when we're checking for it in the book. If the dog did have a license on it or a rabies vaccination tag, first of all, the owners are notified immediately when the dog is brought in. If the dog is unlicensed or has no rabies tag or is not a specific breed and pure breed of dog, the people on the phone are told that they should come out and take a look, because there is no way that we can identify their dog without any identifiable marks or without any identification on it. We may have up to 3 or 4 spaniel types in the kennel at the time. If someone calls and says that they're looking for a Brittany Spaniel or a Cocker Spaniel, when they feel that their dog is a Brittany Spaniel, when actually it's a Spaniel cross with a German Shepherd or a Labrador or something like that, we will look and say, no, that we don't have any Brittany Spaniels, when we may have some Spaniel type dogs.
Another thing I'd like to mention is that Sam has been licensed ever since we got him. And I will take an oath on this that every time we have gone to pick up Sam, his collar is off. He has never left Tonka Kennels with his own collar on him. Now, I think it's contingent upon anybody running a kennel. If a dog is licensed, and there are always extenuating circumstances, or can be, for an animal getting away. They slip out of cars, they slip out of your door. They are animals after all, and if with little kids in the house, such as we have, they will get out. It is the responsibility of anyone running a kennel, unless they're out and out dog thieves, to check that license number and call the owners and tell them that they have those dogs. Now, it is not going to take that much time to do that. The dogs that are unlicensed, naturally, the owner has, it's owner's responsibility to find the animal.
It has been suggested that dogs come in here with collars and leave without collars. How could that happen?
Well, that it couldn't happen. If a dog doesn't have a collar on it, we put one on. And if a dog does have a collar, it could never be taken off here.
I don't know Bill Cooley. I don't know what part he plays in the chicanery at Tonka Kennels. I don't think he's the best loved person in the kennel business. But I would say that his employees hit an all-time low in my estimation, because they're the ones who are supposed to be watering and feeding these animals. And they are the ones who will say, no, your animal isn't here. I don't think Mr. Cooley is out there specifically saying these things, but apparently these people have been told to say it or have taken it upon themselves to say it.
Jennifer, do you have anything you want to add to all this?
Well, I just know that one time when I went out there looking for Sam after he'd been gone for a long time, and they said, well, go ahead and check out back in the large runs out inside. And I was just amazed at how many dogs they had in each cage and how many of them were big dogs. You know, there was no room for them to move around, and there was no food, no water, and it was a hot day. And it was just pathetic.
Sam got away from them a few times. He got over their fence, all of which makes me wonder why they pick up animals and tell us to restrain our animals, and they can't restrain the ones that they've picked up.
It's been my job usually to go out and get Sam. And so I don't know how many times I've been there, but I usually have to go out in the runs to try to find him. And I'm just always struck by the lack of sanitary facilities and lack of water, lack of food. And it's apparent that nobody out there cares.
It's clear now that a problem at the Tonka Kennels does exist, but the obvious question remains, how do we solve that problem? What makes a good dog catcher, and who should it be? Ed Mahoney, director of the Hennepin County Humane Society, has perhaps the beginning of an answer.
I think the man who is out working with animals today should be a person who is trained in public relations and not somebody who's sneaking around stealing animals, but if an animal is running loose, that he may knock on Mrs. Smith's door and say that, Mrs. Smith, we see you don't have a license on your dog. It's been running loose in the neighborhood. Would you please take care of this and see that it gets the license in the next couple of weeks? And if you don't, we're going to have to stop by and pick up your animal. And I think the Humane Societies, St. Paul, the State Society, ourselves, are more than happy at any time to sit down with the city fathers and I think we can at least, we don't have all the answers, but we can know where to find them from other places in the country. I think, too, that we should be looking at a long-range program here, that maybe this animal control thing is a metropolitan problem, not just the city of Minneapolis or a village, something like this. That ordinances, for instance, but this is very typical in Hennepin County. Every little village in the county has got a different ordinance. How do you enforce these? There's many ways of animal control. I think we got to start with the city fathers or even the taxpayer. I mean, how much do they want to spend? How concerned are they with this problem? If they're going to give a limited amount of money to what seems to be a major problem, well, that's pretty simple what the answer is going to be. You're going to get what you pay for.
There is a point I'd like to make. We have two functioning animal humane societies, and they're excellent. They have not one iota of funding from any city, county, or state source. And yet they run perfectly beautiful facilities. They are out picking up maimed and hurt animals. They have animals dumped on them, far more than Tonka Kennels or any other kennel in the city, or the county, or the state. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of cats and dogs all the time. And yet they provide excellent facilities. They use they feed, they're so well fed and so well kept you can't believe it. They get their shots, they have doctors there for them, veterinarians, they are cared for like children. I've never seen human beings treat animals like this. Now, if two organizations that we know of right here in the Twin Cities can operate like this without public funding, why can't we get one kennel that's a county or city agency to pick up animals and treat them like decent little animals? There's no excuse for it.
Tonka is only one of thousands of kennels, and whether or not the owner and employees are in fact guilty of the mistreatment of animals is now a question the courts will decide. But if they are convicted, it could happen anywhere, and the final question, not just for the people of Minneapolis, but for all of us, should be, will we allow it to